3, 2. You have to eat the dream. You have to sleep the dream. You have to dream the dream. You gotta touch. You have to see it when nobody else sees it. You have to feel it when it's not tangible. You have to believe it when you cannot see it. You gotta be possessed with the dream.
What's up, guys, and welcome to Straight from the Chest podcast. My name is Justin Groth, and I'm your host on this personal development and growth podcast. Listen, if you're new to this show, I just want to take this time and I want to welcome you. Thank you for being here. And if this is your second, third, or 153rd time tuning back in, thank you for your continued listenership, support of the podcast. It means a lot to me. And listen, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do so on Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud, basically anywhere there's podcasts, we're likely there. And if you haven't yet subscribed to YouTube, go check that out. And please hit that subscribe button, comment, share, anywhere you can. We would greatly appreciate that. It just helps to generate more awareness of the guests we have on, their stories, and just what we're doing over here at Straight from the Chest. So I'd appreciate you very much for doing that. Without further ado, let's get into it. Shelby.
Drum roll, please. Where is my drum roll, Justin?
Bam, Shelby.
Thank you. Shelby is in the house.
How are you?
I am good, and I am so blessed to be here finally. I didn't know what I had to do to get on this show, but here I am finally.
Well, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
For those of you who don't know, Shelby works at the Fitness Extraordinary, which is the gym in Rio Grande, and it's just a personal trainer.
Not just any gym.
She's a badass trainer. Tell him. Well, I don't want to talk for you. Tell him. You tell him who you are.
We could probably start with how we met, which was the first time we met was random. It was at that parking lot, right?
Oh yeah,
at Fitness 19,
yep.
Which I had forgotten about. But yeah, so randomly met you in the parking lot, and you were talking about you were just hiring trainers or something, weren't you? Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that's great. I'm not a trainer, but that's great. And we just kind of talked about that. And I was like, gosh, I'd really like to do that, though. But I'm not a trainer yet because I had the kids and just was at home with my kids.
Yeah, but you were busting ass working out before that. And you had a really huge foundation already in terms of like the knowledge of what to do, all the compound movements that I look for in a trainer in terms of how they facilitate. So it's very, very important to me. And so when you reached out, it was just...
Yeah, well, it was a year later that
I
text or messaged you after I saw your Instagram and stuff about needing trainers, and I got my certification at that point. So yeah, and then I walk in and you're like, all right, we're like, wait, we met like a year ago, very briefly. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah.
It's such a small world. You were doing that too. You were doing your produce business.
Yeah.
Do you still have that?
Yeah. No, actually, it's kind of on a temporary hold just because of some personal things that I'm going through. But yeah, I think I had just started Armor Farms at that point and might have been pretty busy and preoccupied with legitimate orders. I think we were moving at that point. So yeah, no, that is not active right now, but an element of that is about to probably come back on the scene. So I'm gonna just bite my tongue on it right now. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but yes, I have ideas.
And that plays real good when you're replacing good hand in hand with your training clients.
Yes.
To put them on a good nutritious regimen.
Because
in terms
I'll have a juice. Essentially, it's going to be a juicing option. Yeah.
No, I love that. Well, you have some competition. Clearly, there's some people around the area that do the same thing. They do the box.
Yeah.
They do the box like vegetables.
Yeah.
Fruit,
yeah. Tally's
like
just
that.
a small player in that one.
Yeah. Just a small player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's a different niche than them. Obviously, I mean, you can't really go into that market thinking you're just gonna, compete with somebody that's the beast that Tally is. So, yeah, no, it was conceptually the same, but the niche of the business idea that I have going forward is different than anything they offer. So, yeah.
Well, I want to hear about it once you
when
got it all
we're ready.
locked and loaded.
Hopefully, I'll get invited back, please.
Of course. We'll definitely have you back.
I'll give you ammunition. Don't worry. Something to talk about. Let's give us something to talk about. That's what I'm here for.
Well, we sometimes have discussions in the studio, you and I. Between clients or during, or even during clients.
Yes.
Sometimes, like today.
Whoops, that was my fault.
No, it's all good. But that's what sparked the podcast idea. And honestly, I know you have a story, and I've always been interested in what that looks like or what that is, because I only know the Shelby now currently, but I don't know anything about the Shelby pre-training or like 10 years ago. And there's a lot to it. So take the wheel. Take the wheel.
So small town girl from Ohio. And when I got recruited to play at the academy, I left in, I think it was like 95, went to the prep school and was recruited to play basketball there. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to do something different. I was in this small town. Everybody kind of did the same things, which there was nothing wrong with that. I just wanted to get out of the small town. And I also was the youngest of 3 girls. And so I knew it had kind of been a financial burden for my family, who was middle class, to sustain, 3 girls going to college. And so I just thought, well, I'm getting this opportunity with the Air Force Academy to play basketball. Well, I might as well just take advantage of it. And I went out, did a visit, and just the challenge that I saw out there and the uniqueness of the opportunity. And I just couldn't pass it up, right? I mean, it just seemed like too good to be true. So I jumped at the opportunity to go serve and, take the opportunity. I mean, to get into the Air Force Academy alone was, quite a feat. So to get in and then actually graduate and serve, ended up serving 8 years active duty Air Force.
Jeez.
So yeah, I was not deployed. I was blessed to not have to do that at the time that I was in, which was so long ago. I got out in 2007. So it has been a long time since I served. But, looking back, I didn't know if I was going to stay in or, serve 20 years, or I didn't know. I didn't know what I was going to do. So, but I just knew the opportunity would present so much more for my life and expose me to so much more than if I would have just stayed, and done Division III basketball, which was really kind of the level I was capable of at that point. But
did you have like aspirations of getting into WNBA, or what were your aspirations in high school when you knew, okay, you obviously talented at basketball,
right?
So where does someone go from there in terms of making a career for themselves? What were your aspirations is basically what I want to know.
When in regards to basketball, I really didn't have a lot of ambition other than to utilize it to get a scholarship. And I wanted to further my education. I knew that was important to me, and I wanted to keep that from burdening my parents as much as possible. And so when I was looking at that, I saw this opportunity with the academy, and basketball was actually just the key, to get me into something of that nature. Because the level at which I played, I was good. I was good for, this small town in Ohio. And I got to play at a Division I school, which was amazing. But really at 5'4", going to play D1 basketball, it just probably wasn't going to happen for me from Ohio. I was point. Come on.
Your point, yeah.
Yes. And I was not that great as a shooting guard. So my strengths were always ball handling and defense. I was just tenacious. So it was like, I stole the ball and I would go score, and I played amazing defense. So I think I ended up with like a record in my high school of the most steals. And actually, no, that was softball. I played fast pitch softball. That was softball. And basketball. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So that, and most digs for volleyball. I played everything.
You're just an all-around athlete.
Yeah, I played everything. Yeah.
Did you know you had the athletic bone in you when you were young?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Very, very early on.
What was the first thing that identified?
It'd be interesting to hear what my mom and dad would say about that. But what did I start with first? I think I was in slow pitch softball. I was a cheerleader. All that coming up. Gymnastics. Like, I had to try it all. Yeah.
Did your parents put you in there, or did you want to do that?
No, I begged them to put me in gymnastics. Really? Yes. I will never forget the day they gave me a birthday card with $50 in it and said, "Congratulations, you're getting to go do gymnastics because you got all A's and it's your birthday." And it was like the best birthday present ever.
How old were you?
I got to do gymnastics. Fifth grade.
Fifth grade.
One and only time I got straight A's too.
Oh man, I never got straight A's.
First and last time.
Yeah, it was hard for me to get straight C's.
No.
Oh yeah, and in school, I've talked about this before and I've joked about it, but it's real. I've never been a good student. Always barely average at best, and because I just didn't. I only did it because I had to do it. You have to pass, and you have to. Well, that's embarrassing if you don't pass. So
right, gotta at least pass.
And I'm gonna get a verbal and I'm gonna get grounded. I don't want to get grounded when I'm in
That was
school.
your
I don't want to get
motivation?
grounded, so I got to do what I can to keep my social life, because that was important to me. I want to be
Right,
social. I want to go
right.
out with my friends and do shit. So I just did grades for that, but no, it was really hard for me.
I just find that hard to believe how you tolerated that, because you're so like,
Yeah, but
just
everything.
so.
Okay, but everything you know me that in terms of what I do now is because I give a shit about it. Back then
but
in
school
school, I
you
didn't
just
give a
not.
shit about school. I just did it because I had to do it and I had to pass, and I didn't want things to be taken away from me, which they would have been if I didn't do good in school. So that was the only
Okay,
driving
okay,
impetus to
okay.
keep doing better,
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, no.
Well, hey, no judgment here. No judgment here, because I only got straight A's once in my life, so I'm not judging you. It's okay. C's are good.
Caesar barely. Now the grading scale has moved up to where some low grade is like I think it's like a 30 or 40 is passing now, and a 60 is like a B or something. I don't know. It's some absurd percentage. It's
Well,
I could be. You have to fact check me on that. I'm sure the audience will, but
somebody
someone in the
out there,
audience will.
somebody out there, help us
But
out.
I heard it's just something obnoxious. Like, it's so that they've lowered the standards so much to where
I
now
think
anybody can
that's
pass.
reflective of society nowadays,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's so sad, right?
So what is your take? What is your take on society?
Oh, are we gonna get right into it? My take on society. Oh, geez, my take on society.
Hey, we don't have to get into like politics and all that shit.
Yeah,
but
no,
it's like,
I don't enjoy those kind of conversations very often, to be honest with you. Definitely not when I'm trying to relax, which
Sure.
I would like to do here today.
Okay.
I think we're a lost world. I think we've lost direction. I think we're deceived. I think we're focused on the wrong things. I think it's a very selfish society.
Yeah.
I think that we have completely forgotten about what it means to care about other people.
You and I are aligned on that.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. And there's a bunch of different rabbit holes we can go down.
Right.
But
There is. Yeah. But I think in general, it's, a lot of aspects of our society reflect that over and over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. And I mean, as a believer in God, I want every day to make sure that view and what I see isn't the way I live, right? Isn't what I'm reflecting out. Even though I see that in general, I don't think we take care of each other. I don't think we reflect love at all as a society towards each other. Every conceptual idea of what God created man to do, I feel like we're failing at miserably, to be honest with you. But that doesn't mean that I therefore don't have to live in the expectation of what I believe the Lord created me and how he created me to serve. So it's a challenge, I think, every day to stay above that. I always say it in my head, stay above the storm, stay above the storm, stay above the storm, stay above the storm, because every day there's going to be things coming at you that are negative, that are, purposefully set to distract you and deceive you. And, you can either take the bait or you can acknowledge it's there and just live the way you want to live from an internal perspective. And keeping control of the internal perspective is our challenge, right? We have all these external factors on us every day, impacting us emotionally. You can't walk away from anything without being tied to a connection of some sort, meaning our phones. And so it's, the challenge is to keep your mind protected, and keep your emotions in check. That's life. I don't think society's making that very easy on us right now.
No. And like, I want to say something, but then I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So I would say, from what you said, 100% agree. The only thing is, it's a constant battle every day. Like you're saying, staying above the storm. I mean, you have to constantly talk to yourself, constantly reflect, constantly reassess and reanalyze what you should have done or what you could do better, etc. Like moving forward in relationships with, even when it comes to conversation with people and the way you talk to people and the way that you handle situations, etc. Like all these things matter, because ultimately it's your character that matters, and how you cultivate that matters a lot. But you're doing that by putting that in place by saying, well, I'm gonna stay above the storm. You're basically saying, I'm not going to lower my standards, sink to that person's level, sink to that to the level of that situation or whatever, or succumb to that level. And that takes a lot. There's a lot of fight involved with that, because it's very easy to fall into temptation or emotional desires in the moment, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Sometimes it feels good to just chew someone's face off. But
well, I mean, again, we go back to controlling our emotions, right?
Exactly.
We aren't supposed to make our decisions based on our emotions if we're following in a godly way. You know, emotions aren't what are to control us. That actually can be deceptive, very deceptive. And so, yeah, I think more staying in line with how Jesus would have had us live, how Jesus, like, you know, the old saying, what would Jesus do? Although it's cliche and has been played out, it's true. And when I think about Jesus, I think about Jesus as a person, as someone who is like you or me, who was fulfilled with the Holy Spirit to go and show us how to allow that to happen in a human capacity, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I think about that, where he walked sinless, but he was tempted over and over and over again, but he walked sinless, what would Jesus do? You know, he was able to sustain that love towards other people, no matter what they did to him, no matter what they said about him. And so that's how I want to live my life. How did he do that? You know, how did he do that?
You know, who knows? But
the Holy Spirit.
I'll tell you, yeah. I'll tell you what,
Who knows?
He seems like he had a leg up on things because he was so insightful and such a visionary. Nobody that I know that was 33 is that way. You know, if you know, when you look back at the text and you look at his rebuttals to people or what he would counter people with, it's like, what? Why would you think to say that? That's crazy insightful, you know?
Well,
so
it's the word, right? It's the word of God. It's the spoken word of God. So of course
it's like he had a leg up, man.
He did. He had the Holy
did.
Spirit.
I don't have that.
Yes, you do. And that's the challenge. That's kind of my point. And what I'm saying is that the Holy Spirit is, you know, a presence within us internally that we can tap into to combat those temptations and those emotions and those things that tend to sidetrack us. And identifying in your own way how to stay in tune with that is, in my experience, and this is mine, and my relationship with God, is that it is experiencing him and staying open to that presence so that it's easier to adapt to what the heck's happening around you, right? I mean, that's what my faith is to me.
Yeah.
That's what it is, you know?
Some people meditate, right? So how do you feel on meditate or about meditation?
Well, it's so funny because people always say, trainers say this, what you hate the most, you need the most.
Uh-huh.
And I used to hate meditation. Hated it. I was like, I don't have time for that. Too busy. It's for wimps. Like, nope, no relaxing over here in Shelby's life. There's just
You were just go.
I'm like, I don't need it. I'm good. You know? And then I had the third kid, and then I had the fourth kid, and I was like, maybe I should meditate.
So
no, but I am a huge advocate of it now. Presently,
you do it?
Yes, I do. Yes.
So how different is it than praying?
Well, for me, this is just my experience. I don't do one without the other. Prayer for me is meditation. Meditation is prayer. But I do have a different type of meditation I do, whereas one is more of a receiving meditation of where I'm just more still and quiet. The other is like a prayer meditation where I'm more verbal and, you know, in my expression and thoughts. It's just kind of what I want, what I'm manifesting, what I'm thinking about, you know, more my just kind of dump, my brain dump, right? But then there's also a time, I think, for us in the Bible, it says, you know, where to be still and be quiet. And that was a huge lesson for me over the past couple of years, is especially being in the midst of 4 kids. You don't have time, you know, no, I'm not going to relax. I'm going to keep going. If I relax, I'm actually going to realize that I probably can't sustain what I'm doing, and I'm just going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I think it's been a good lesson for me to understand the value of that type of experience of meditating and quieting my head, you know, because staying distracted is actually a way in which we avoid, you know, the truth, the reality of things we don't like. You know, we use distraction very well as human beings, I think, to avoid anything that is not what we want to face, and it can be addiction, it can be exercise, it can be excessive relationships, it could, anything. It could be food, anything that we turn to, So
when you don't, it's easy to shut the brain off. You just have to do something that's very threatening to the brain, meaning like weight training. That's an imposed stress or an imposed threat to the brain, and your body has to. You don't have time to think about other things when you're working out or when you're under load, and that's why working out's so beneficial to people. Not running, working out with weights, because when you run, you can absolutely think about things. When you're just jogging on the beach or just jogging in general, you think a lot.
Yeah.
But when you're actually doing something that's an imposing threat on your body, you don't have time to think about things. You think about that specific thing, that tangible object you're holding, and not wanting to, I don't know, you're wanting to fight the injury or the possible potential injury from that.
The threat.
Exactly. So you don't have time to think, which is such a good thing for people that are depressed. For people that are depressed, or they don't have, or their mind goes a million miles an hour, they're anxious, etc., it's very good to do some form of exercise. And I don't mean, when I say exercise, I mean resistance training, not running or
I know how
jogging.
you feel about cardio.
Or yeah,
no cardio over here for you.
it's got a place, clearly, but we love the weights.
You're so funny.
We
That's
love the
another
weights.
rabbit hole we could go down.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we talked about that when you first started training about your
Yes.
boxing and stuff.
Yes.
But that's a different form of cardio. That's not running. If you're fighting somebody,
Yeah.
or even if you're hitting mitts, you're not thinking about a lot of shit. You're thinking about the target.
Yeah.
And you're
No,
having to
it's very
always,
therapeutic.
you have to counter the target. It's very psychological.
Yes.
Speaking of psychology,
True.
don't you have a major in psychology?
I do. I have. So at the academy, I did my undergrad was social sciences, and then I got a master's while I was in the Air Force in human relations. And then I loved this program at Cal Poly. I did a year at the marriage and family therapy program here. When I first moved out here 10 years ago, I started that program with the intention of probably not finishing, because I was just getting married and we were talking about having kids right away. And so I thought, this will be awesome. I'll do it until I have a baby. And then he and I had agreed I'd stay home with the kids. So I was like, awesome, I'll do this for a year. And then, I didn't think a year, actually. I just thought I'll do it till I get pregnant. And I'm one of those blessed women that got pregnant easily. And so after a year of the program, I quit and then had the baby, and I hadn't gone back. So, but I did a year of that. Yeah. So I have a little bit of, psychological therapeutic background, if you will. So, and I've heard you talk a lot about depression and exercise and depression. And I will tell you this. I think that you have never been depressed. Would I venture to guess that about you?
I don't think most people have been depressed.
Right.
Because real depression is not what people coin it nowadays. Real depression is you wake up and your whole family died last night in a horrific car crash. That's real depression, though.
Sure.
And that's coined.
We can't really determine what would cause someone to feel depressed at a degree to which they are depressed. Like,
based on the clinical level, based on clinical psychologists, that is actual depression based on their experiences with their clients.
Not being able to get out of bed, you mean?
Right.
Like, yes.
Disabled, like, sort of.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
most people nowadays they have a surface depression that can be easily cured by finding something of meaning or pursuit in their life that would help to get their mind off of themselves and onto something that's more that's bigger than them.
Sure.
Which is a pursuit.
Yeah.
So that's why I say real people, like, I haven't had any depression. Most people have not had depression. They have wayward or lowless feelings of themselves. They need to get off their ass and do something. They need to find a pursuit in life.
You think that would change?
I know it would, because they're human beings. We're all human beings. We're meant to.
So what do you suggest as the first step would be? So if it's true depression and they can't get out of bed, right? They're not gonna.
That's beyond me. They would have to see a clinical psychologist for that.
Right. So you're saying for those people, different stories.
Yes.
Okay. So we're taking them off the table and we're talking about people who are just like, I don't want to get up. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do 100% think that, physical activity is of course it's an impact to your mental health, and it's going to be a positive impact. I mean, I've always said, like, have you ever gone to the gym? And if there's anyone out there who has, I'm sure we'll hear. But have you ever gone to the gym and regretted going?
Never, right?
No. And I mean, my clients have never walked out and been like, "I wish really wouldn't have done that. Wish I wouldn't have done that."
Never. Yeah.
You know? And so it is. But the challenge I think that we see in a lot of clients is that, and even with myself, like sometimes getting there is half the battle, right? And so that's where value comes in with having accountability with the trainer, but also just getting that one thing, like you're saying, that does get you out the door, like having something to look forward to. And whether it's that workout, and I mean, in my experience, like when you have a trainer you like to see and you want to go and you want to work out, it makes such a difference in getting there and wanting to get there. And then how you perform when you're there, right? So it's so valuable. It makes such a difference in your energy level and your thought processes and the way you feel about yourself. And it just rolls into a different motivational level. But I understand the challenge of what do you think it is? 70% of the people out there that just don't have that initial, I'm going to go and take care of myself today.
Probably more. You know, I mean, there's a very small percentage of people that are actually in shape, and they may and there's a larger percentage that exercise. But what is exercise? Like, are we talking about walking? We're talking about, you know, a few 20-minute walks a week? Are we talking about 3 to 4 days of actual 60 minutes of resistance exercise? What are we talking about? Right. You know, like it's hard. I don't know the stats on that, but it is, you're right. It is hard to get people into the gym. That is like all the battle. Yeah. You know, unless you're someone like you or I, we're already disciplined enough to do that, and we're mentally excited about it going into the workout.
Well, and also to be blessed with the opportunity to do it, right? Because, you know, not everyone's lives are as accommodating to time.
True.
Or money or whatever the case may be that limits. I mean, there's so many reasons why we all get limited, not just to taking care of ourselves physically, but in every capacity of our lives, right? We can come up with a lot of reasons that we get distracted with not focusing on ourselves. But I do think that, you know, with people who do have that struggle, I identify with it because, I mean, I haven't always been, I'm a mom of 4, you know, I've gone through, I was an athlete and I always had motivation to work out, but I also didn't sleep, you know, I also breastfed through the night. I also had to breastfeed when I was working out. It's like going through all of those things. I understand the struggle of not wanting to do it. I've gone through phases of my life where I have not wanted to go to the gym. I have not wanted to work out. I mean, especially after postpartum. That's the time where most of us women decide, I'm just going to stick with mom bod. Why not? I mean, it's too hard. It's too hard. The effort it takes for a woman to bear a child, to carry it, to have it is indescribable and really something a man will never understand. The physical, am I right, ladies? The physical demand that it is on your body to have a child and create that child.
You know how many women right now are going, yes,
finally, Justin has someone on there talk about it, the babies. Yes. No, it's, I mean, it is, and I had 4 C-sections, so they were cut out of me, and that is like so hard to want to come back from because it hurts, you know? I mean, your first time going back, walking is painful, let alone trying to get back into some kind of shape, you know? And I mean, I'm blessed in regards to the way that my body responds to things when I do become more active. So after my babies, yes, I recovered probably more quickly than most women would because I had that foundation. But I get really frustrated when I feel like women have this potential in them and they settle for thinking I'm a mom now and that's who I am and I got to look like one. And I just feel like, no, you know, no, you don't have to settle for that. And I'm not saying go out and do a professional bodybuilding show. I'm saying take care of yourself because it's so easy for us as women, as moms, to just completely, you now focus on your children and everything they need and your husband or, you know, your partner, whatever. And you forget. I forgot about that girl that played basketball at the Air Force Academy. You know, I was at home with the kids for 10 years. So you lose in my experience and in watching what my friends have gone through, and is you lose your sort of, not your identity, but you lose touch with that identity and you forget. And so I just want to encourage women to think back to the things you liked before you had kids and try to hold on to those things and the things that you were doing, before you had kids, and try to stay close to that. Because when you just start thinking about everything your kids needs, which is amazing and great, and, this primal feeling of just completely taking care of your children is awesome, but don't let it be at the expense of losing yourself. I mean, it's so easy, and I've seen it with so many of us women, and I get the value that we feel that is providing for our children, but at some point we have to kind of look around and go, okay, am I still in tune with me and who I am and what I like and what I value,
I agree. I have a lot of empathy on women when it comes to this, whereas you don't, I don't think, at least from what you're saying. Let me give you some context behind it. So working out and building your body and getting, in shape, etc. Like it's weird because I don't really, I put that stimulus on men way more profoundly. Like men, there's zero excuses why you as a man shouldn't be in shape. Like it just shows your lack of discipline, structure, ordinance, organization, etc. All these things that really define a part of your manliness. When you can't discipline yourself to doing something to better your body or to become stronger, become healthier, omit certain things from your mouth because you want to keep your physique healthy and lean and muscular. Like these are not good qualities if you don't. These are good qualities if you have them, but they're bad if you don't have them as a man. With women, I don't really put that same precedence on them. Like they shouldn't, it's like, don't be overweight because that's bad for your health.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, like, if you want to adopt some type of exercise regimen, that's great.
Right.
But just be healthy. Like
Sure.
but I'm not.
But not that you don't have that standard for
women,
but you do
no,
for
with
men.
men. With men, you don't get off the hook with me. With men, you don't get off the hook. You're. I will call you lazy, fat, etc. Maybe not fat, but I'll call you lazy.
You probably would.
I'll call you lazy if you're not actually meeting the bar when it comes to you having some type of physique. And I'm not talking about a dad bod. You don't have to be six-pack shredded. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying,
well, your perspective seems to be, it sounds like you do have really, really high expectations in general.
Of men, yeah.
Okay.
Men.
Okay.
Because men should be their best selves for their women. Men should be there in the best position to take care of a woman. Regardless if that woman needs to be taken care of financially or not, he should be in the best position. He should be in the best position to protect that woman.
Right.
Etc. So
Okay.
I don't let men off the hook like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so a man can protect a woman in a lot of different ways. I mean, financially is one aspect, right?
Sure.
And then another would be that they're physically healthy and can protect her. And then another is that they're also mentally, obviously, sound, right? So there's a lot of different ways in which I think a man needs to feed those aspects of his life.
And everything you listed can all be remedied through an exercise regimen.
You think exercise is key to everything.
It's medicine.
Right.
And it's very much the antidote for a lot of shit. I know it's so simple and it's not complex and people want a more,
well, if you think about the fundamental purpose of human beings back before we had all the luxuries of, not going to a grocery store and all that. We were meant to be active. We were definitely meant to be active.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you take that out of the equation and you're able to order Uber Eats from whatever fast food place you want, and you're able to, nowadays staying inside, not having to go to work anymore because of the C word, all that sort of thing. It's like, it's easy to be a lazy shit, and that is not acceptable for men. You shouldn't be lazy.
No.
It's part of your obligation to go out and create yourself.
Yes. I agree with that. I would put that challenge to women as well. Yes.
Well, you're not the typical woman. You're very well. The reason why I say it is because you're so high energy and you're such a go-getter with a lot of things. You like to rough it. You know what I mean? Like that's not most women, man.
That is true. That is true about me. But I think that's for several reasons. One is because I'm from Ohio, and that's just country. I mean, I'm just it's the country in me. I mean, that's just barefoot on the cornfields. That's kind of how I grew up. And my dad. I was the youngest of 3 girls. My dad. I was his tomboy. So I would fish with him a lot and do a lot of stuff with him and stuff like that. I was a daddy's girl, if you will. And so, I had that. And then when you go through basic training at the Air Force Academy and survival training, like you go through survival training, everyone should have to go through survival training once
in their life. So what does that consist of?
I'm telling you. So it's 3 weeks basically in the mountains in Colorado. And the first week, I mean, this is 20 some years ago. My gosh. The first week we did like they teach you sort of how to forage and build the fire, and you kind of are in a camp with your team. And then the next week you're kind of out by yourself and you're kind of surviving, coming back in and stuff, but you sleep overnight by yourself and you learn how to eat certain, wild vegetables and ants, and they teach you how to survive. And then the last the last 3 days we do what's called evasion. And so that's small groups of 3 go out and you're trying to get from point A to point B in the dark. And it's like you're evading an enemy, like if you were in a down there aircraft. Yeah. And so when I was there, it was, we would evade all night long. And so you learn all these awesome things about, your night vision and how it works, and, how to avoid like seeing lights, because then it'll blind you and you won't be able to see it at night. It's just like, it's such a cool experience. But, you don't eat, you sleep in the dirt, you don't shower. It's disgusting. You're disgusting. But I will tell you, I learned the most, I think, probably the most I learned about myself was during survival training, because your body will go so much farther than your mind will ever. And you just can't even imagine how far you can push yourself. It's crazy, because you want to give up and you think you're done. And we see this all the time, right? I mean, even just in our own workouts or training clients. And no, your body can do so much more than you thought. And to learn that lesson at 18 years old, it kind of makes you unstoppable. And there's no excuses. I'm like, well, I mean, I have this, and this. And, I didn't have those things when I was in survival training, and I was able to do this.
Right,
so why can't I do it now?
Right.
I mean, it's really true.
You mentally think back to that, right?
I do, because it taught me you're fine. You can do it without that. You don't need that, and then you just I think it was 12% women when I went into the Air Force Academy. So there wasn't many of us. And when you look around and see what you're accomplishing next to all these men, and they want you to be the one on their team, and they want you to help, and you're helping other girls through it. And don't get me wrong, there was plenty of girls that, were amazing through the academy that are just as badass as I've ever seen any women be. But, it's the same as anywhere. There's some women who are kind of holding up the fort. And then there's others who are, trying to make sure everybody's kind of staying on an even keel. And I just was that girl. I just wanted to make sure. I'll never forget. I told, when I was getting interviewed by the Congress, you have to go through that. I don't know if you know this. When you go to the Air Force Academy, you have to get nominated by a congressman. And so you go through their process of an interview thing. So I was interviewing with their people, and they said, why do you want to do it? And I said, because I think I can be the one that would help someone who is having a hard time getting through these experiences at the academy. I don't know what made me think that, but that's what I really thought. I just thought, I know I can do it, but I can also help this other person through it. So I should go. And they were like, we have never heard anyone say that before.
Really?
But it was very simple to me.
Yeah.
I was like, because I think I can. And I think when I'm done doing it, I could probably help someone else through it too. It's just, that's just who I was. I don't know. It seemed very no-brainer to me.
Well, that's kind of aligned in life. Like when you find out what you're really good at in life, it helps so many other people down the road. And that should be in part the driving impetus to you doing something of meaning in your life. Because it's not just about you. It is about whatever God infused you with, you extracting whatever said talent is, you refining it, cultivating it, etc. Then you dispensing with it to the world and helping others be better as a result. That's major. And that's why if more people thought that way and went through the process, the quagmire, if you will, of the process, well, it's a tough thing going through it, but at the end of the day, it's so revealing of who you are. It develops your character. And not only that, you're able to provide something to others that is of benefit or utility to them. And it's just a win-win across the board. But there's a lot of shit you have to go through pre anything like that happening. There's a lot of it. And that's what takes people out of the game. They just can't put up with the process.
You're saying the process to become better is what?
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, that's the part that's not fun is the process. Yeah, everybody just wants to be awesome, right?
It's not fun, but it's like being born with a silver spoon in your mouth. You didn't understand what it took to make that money. You're living off of old money, the money your parents made or their parents made or their parents made. So you don't really understand what the fruits of your labor. You don't understand that. And then you can easily lose it as a result or not treat it well.
Right.
And so that's why the process is important for people because it builds character in that process.
Well, I think that's kind of how the Lord, that's kind of how it works, right? Like he's always refining us and always kind of putting us in situations that make us uncomfortable so that we can become different. And I don't feel like we should ever consider ourselves done becoming better and learning more and getting a better perspective or even a different perspective. I don't need to agree with your perspective, but I should be able to at least see from it so I can relate to you better if that's what this is all about, Do I want to relate to you or not? I mean, nowadays, nobody wants to talk to anybody. It's, we're just on our phones and we text. And I mean, we're completely removed from any kind of physical interaction and communication with each other. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And we don't know how to act with each other anymore. I mean, it makes intimacy difficult. It makes friendships difficult. I mean, I'm like new in the game of this single life. And I'm like, okay, so this is how we date now. It's like the phone thing is a whole different piece of dating. I'm just learning all of that. Yeah. It's like, okay, do we text now? Do we call? We don't call anymore. Do we call? Do we call each other now? At my well, you're younger than me, but like, do we call anymore? Like, I don't know. But it's just sad to me because I keep saying that. I am such a people person that it's just frustrating to me to see, how little the direction of society is, how far away it's going from us connecting. It's so and if we continue to accept it as it is and why we are so tied to these phones, it makes no sense to me whatsoever. But it is very important to our society that we're on these phones all the time. And it's just taken us so far away from relation. There's no way to relate anymore. Right? How do you relate on a phone? How do you relate? I mean, the podcasts are great, right? I mean, that keeps us engaged. But it's just, I feel we're just getting so distant, so distant from human interaction.
Yeah, and that's just kind of the way the world is moving in this day and age. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't call. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't, even if you call, let's do a FaceTime call. It doesn't mean that you can't set up coffee dates and things of that nature and actually interact with people. But one of the biggest apps right now to date on, and it's not even a dating app, but it's Instagram. I mean, that's mainly where people are picking up people is Instagram. I mean, think about it. You can screen a person before you even send them a message. Yeah. And I have everybody's phone number in my Instagram because I can direct message them. That's basically like having their phone number.
Yeah.
Because I get right to them.
Yeah.
But I screen them beforehand with their pictures and how they use their, what captions they choose to write, etc. Like I can piece together who this person is before I even choose to engage.
So I'm interested to know this because, you know, like I said, new to this. So what is the ratio of true representation of that person after you've done this kind of check, and then you meet and you kind of hang out a couple of times? Is the correlation accurate with what they've reflected and who they are and actually who you ended up seeing them be?
Most often not.
Most often not. That's my point. It's like we can't relate anymore because you can go out and pretend on this Instagram and whatever to be whoever you want, really, whoever you want to pretend you are. And then when it comes down to it, that's not who you are at all.
Right.
So that's why that's kind of my point is like, we're so far away from getting to know each other on a one-on-one. And I'm not talking even just intimacy. I'm talking like just conversations with human beings
who
nowadays. Yeah. Who are you really? Like I saw your picture on Instagram, but yeah. Who are you really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and that's why you have to get them alone. You just got to get them in an environment where they're their true self. And it's hard to get that even with, so for example, for you getting a man in an environment where he's going to be his true self. I mean,
Are you saying good luck?
I would say that it's hard because most men they're not really, I'm not saying all men, some men do this. Some men are sometimes provocative with their photos, or they're alluring with their photos, or they only post, they post only like good stuff, etc. But women are probably more notorious for that because they only will post a provocative photos. They only post a thirsty trap like photos. It's like you're doing thirst trap photos.
Thirst trap?
Yeah. So
thirst trap. I don't know what
basically that is. Thirst trap is meaning you're posting something that's you're baiting.
Thirst trap. Oh, okay.
Like you're thirsty.
I like that. Okay. Is that a you expression or is that a saying?
That's a real
saying?
We could hashtag that.
There
will be millions of
I love it. So, we should do that.
We'll do it after the show. Yeah, it's a real thing.
I love it.
But there are men that are thirst traps too.
Thirst trap.
Like I know men. I'm honest. I say this begrudgingly. I know some men that I personally know them that post thirsty pictures, and I'm like, you're a woman right now. Like, stop that, man. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just be that. I know what you're doing. I know the motive behind it. That's not what you should be doing, man. But I mean, everybody to each their own. But when women post things, it's typically to get attention.
Right.
It's attention driven.
Sure. And
some women that are listening to this can maybe not agree. By the way, I just learned this. 62% of this audience is women.
Yes.
For some reason.
They just want to look at your pretty face. That's all.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. I will say that. Yes. I'll say that.
They're like, I don't care what he's saying. I just want to look at him. I'm just kidding.
They will.
I value what you have to say. I really do. I swear.
What's that?
Even with your pretty face, I value what you have to say. I swear.
Thank you. So they may get kind of an uproar about that, me saying that's why I say that. But yes, I don't mean it in a pejorative sense. I just say it because what else would it be? Right? What else would it be? Then again, there are men that act the same. But I don't respect men that act like that. Because to some degree, to me, that's narcissistically wound, especially when I have a gentleman on I won't even mention his name, but I know him personally. And he posts photos about him doing things for his kids, him doing like things that are bettering himself. But it's not like, I know you're thinking, oh, Justin, well, that's not a big deal. It's good. Not in the light that he does it. It's centered spotlight on me.
It's to be reflective of who he is, not about being proud of.
Look at how good I am. You're like, whenever some man does that, it's almost like, the Ron Burgundy Anchorman.
Yes.
In the beginning of the first Anchorman, he says, "Hey, everybody, come see how good I look." That's what the guy is doing by saying that shit.
Yes.
And it's or being that way. It's like that's thirsty, man. And it's almost. You're just it's very
he needs to be thirsting for the Lord's favor and the word of God, not thirsting for the ladies.
Yeah.
Just saying. I'm just saying.
It's one thing to if other people promote you. It's another
Yes.
thing when you promote yourself.
Yes.
That doesn't look good. It's not a good look, man.
Yeah.
So
I get that, but I think we are all doing that for everyone. We're not just trying, like, a guy's not just doing that to impress girls and get girls, and it's more about
it's about girls for guys.
No, I agree with that aspect.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, in general, we are literally portraying ourselves to others, in a way to reflect, to get attention.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what social media is, and that's why I've tried to take an angle with my social media that's more, I love showing what I'm doing with my kids and showing off my kids and stuff, but also I post a lot about scripture and just how to live and how I want to live and how I want to be with people and how I want people to treat me. And so it's like, if social media is going to be an avenue that is utilized in our society, which clearly it is and has been for a while now, I wish we could use it for more of that, for more of relational, like, goodness, and not competition and showing off and like all those things you're saying. Or it's a slippery slope. It just is to me. It's social media. I guess we could break it down into, when I say social media, I think like an Instagram style social media. I'm not just thinking about how we use stuff like this to communicate, but yeah, I just wish it could be, I wish it could be utilized differently. I wish it could be utilized the same, but the end result could be different, because what I see has or what it seems to, I don't know, who am I to say, but what it seems to have done to our society isn't a good thing. It's not a good thing. We can't say that. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at all the things that are occurring in our society in today's day and age, with all this technology and all this easy access to communicate. And it is, I mean, we're in the worst shape we've probably ever been, right?
I think a lot of it can come across as nefarious in terms of the technology and the advent of new technology, but they would say that if you look at if you look at our history, historically speaking, we are actually living in the best times. And I know that's crazy to say that, because I don't necessarily want to believe that. But in terms of like people dying and illness and not being able to eradicate certain illnesses through the advent of medicine and just understanding
They're saying
things.
We're in the best time right now. You've read that?
Yeah.
Where?
Oh, no, we're in the best times right now in terms of not dying, not being threatened by so much, whereas historically speaking, from a historical sense, in the former years we were. And that's what they're saying is now we're living in the best of times. The best time to be alive is now. I would argue the best time to be alive is in the 90s. Like the 90s was a perfect sweet spot.
Why? Why do you think 90s?
Saved by the Bell.
What was happening in the
Saved
90s
by
for
the
you?
Bell.
That Saved by the Bell was why you would go. That's the number one reason you would go back.
It was a little bit more. That was not the number one reason.
Okay.
It's a reason for sure.
It came.
Yeah. It is
the 90s. That was your time. That was your time.
It's innocent. It's innocent, but it's also edgy. It's also
I could see
on
that.
the cusp of technology, right when things are starting to kind of cultivate to something larger, but it's not lost its innocence yet.
Yeah.
And then you start moving into 2000s, and it's like,
yeah,
downhill to some degree.
To some degree, yeah.
But I'm with you on that. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily believe that that's what they're saying is true, but then again, I can't argue with certain data and statistics that they have that I don't have.
Right.
So
right.
it's like, I guess,
Yes.
dude. Yes.
I don't want, well, that's the thing. If you don't program your mind, the world will program it for you. So
No,
we
it's
just
very
go
true.
with what they say.
It's very true.
It's like, at what point do we, at what point do you, this is what worries me so much about us being so interconnected to our phones. It's like, at what point do you stop thinking for yourself? Because now it's here, constant, right?
Yeah.
You're not even taking in your own data points anymore. You're just taking in, which now you've conditioned to keep you so isolated because it keeps track of everything you like and so now you're only seeing ads in regards to this, and now you're only seeing this, so now it's put you, to me, what I started to feel like with my phone was that it was starting to direct me. And what, if I liked something one time, all of a sudden you've got,
Oh, yeah.
how many ads for these shoes that you didn't even really know you liked. But now all of a sudden you're like, geez, I'm kind of becoming obsessed with those shoes. Well, it's because they've had it in your face for 6 times in 20 seconds after you liked it. And to me,
targeted marketing.
but that's scary to me,
Yeah.
because that's a little bit of control. A lot of
Oh,
control.
that is, yeah.
They have a lot of control over me now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's also very
became too much.
intelligent marketing when you think about
Oh,
it. Because now
it's a genius.
Genius.
Look at us. We're like salivating over our phones. Like, yes. It's genius. I mean, it's masterful. It's masterful marketing.
It really is. And there's gonna be a time where you're not even gonna have to like something. You just, the thought of it comes on your phone.
I heard it's already there. I heard things are
I
already
hate
like
saying that,
It's
but I think it
nauseating
is.
to me.
I think it is, and I'll tell you. Let me tell you a story. I hate even saying this because this is kind of freaky, but it happened. It's real. It's happened a few times, and I've just tried to dismiss it. But the last time that I thought, okay, this is legit, man. I had a thought about somebody. Okay, so I saw somebody wearing a tie-dye shirt. And I don't typically like tie-dye. I have a couple tie-dye shirts, but I was like, that tie-dye shirt is nice. Like, I like that tie-dye. I wonder if Noble has, the brand Noble?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like Noble brand. And I could have swore I remember vaguely seeing a tie-dye shirt that they have, but I didn't know what color it was. I didn't know if it was tie-dye. I just thought maybe. And this is an ad months ago that I saw, which was, the picture was kind of still in my head, but it wasn't fresh. I couldn't even decipher if it was actually a Noble brand or not, or a Noble shirt or not. But I remember seeing the person wear the shirt in the gym, and I remember thinking, that looks kind of familiar to a Noble shirt. I would like to. I'd get a shirt like that. Like if that was in Noble, I would have gotten that shirt for sure.
And this is all just thoughts in your head.
Only thoughts.
Okay.
Never said anything. I never said anything. This is the crazy thing. And then
I believe you. Every word of it.
Then that night, I'm sifting through my phone. I see a Facebook ad for Noble, that exact same tie-dye in a tank top. And it wasn't just one ad. It was like 4 different iterations of this tie-dye shirt. Okay, what's that? That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But,
and
okay,
we are okay with it is the thing, really.
My thing is, how is it even happening? How do they tap into my brain?
I mean, if you think about energy and waves and I don't know.
The quantum realm.
I don't
guess.
know. But
Well, you know that Elon...
they say it's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't there a Domino's commercial out right now where they're saying, like, is it a
what?
joke? I don't watch TV hardly ever.
Me neither. Yeah.
There's a Domino's commercial, I think, out there right now that advertises that. Like, literally, you just have to think about your order and it will order it. Like, I don't know. Maybe I sound crazy right now, but I could have sworn I've seen that commercial.
Okay, well,
where it's something like that.
Elon Musk is working on something called Neuralink, and that's going to be where you can communicate with people without even talking to them.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And he said that's going to happen. Like, that's going to happen.
Okay.
But everything...
So everybody's really going to know what I'm thinking about that.
Yeah. Think about it, though. Everything before we had it was always foreign and such a huge new concept. You know, I mean, the printing press was a huge new concept that everybody was like, this is crazy, you know, and,
Right.
and then now it's nothing. It's common.
Yeah.
It's whatever. So that's how everything new starts. And you just have to, you just end up adapting to it over time. It just takes a while. You know, this is going to take a while. I mean, the internet came out, what, 2010, right? Or something like that?
I don't even know anymore.
I don't even want to, I don't even know either. Maybe not 2010. I feel like.
Well, no, it was before then.
Yeah.
Because I was at college.
2000-ish?
Yeah, I would say.
2000?
Yeah, 95 maybe. I don't know. Yeah, because I went in.
Okay, it's AOL. Because AOL, that AOL dial-up. Oh, yeah, you're right. Why did I see 2010? What the fuck?
Yeah.
And then they had.
I'm like, yeah, sure. Sounds good.
Yeah. Everything past 2000 is a blur. I don't
The bottom
really...
line is that, yes, it's the internet's changed the game, but we can. I don't know. I just worry about the fact that we just go along with all of this. We just go along with it. We're just slaves to it. Like,
right, because the forces that be are much greater than us on this earth.
Right, but that's what concerns me because, as you know, I'm a you know, when you think about the way the Lord has designed it, you know, it's not against flesh and blood. It's and we are just walking around here fulfilling every demand that's being put on us without questioning anything, without thinking we might even potentially be being deceived or, you know.
Yeah.
So it just, I don't know.
Well, people are questioning, but those people, they're not making any headway, it seems like. Like, they can question all they like, but nothing's really happening as a result, you know, because the forces that be are way stronger than him, you know?
Well, and they have our hands tied, really.
Right.
I mean, if you wanted to right now, how would you get rid of your phone? It's
you
like
you just have to just exile yourself to an island, live off the grid.
Seriously, though. I mean, imagine what it would take for you to give it up. And still, like, because they have every aspect of our lives are dependent on it now. I mean, your business is dependent on it. All the apps, you know, everything. Communication, how to get somewhere. Like,
you want to know how important my phone is to me? This is what happened. I went to Magic Mountain over the weekend for a birthday thing, right? And go to Magic Mountain. I was on this ride, Wonder Woman. I was on Wonder Woman. And my phone, I put it in my back pocket thinking it'd be okay. And there's a Ziploc bag in the front to put your phone in. But I was like, nah, it's fine. It's under my back pocket. It's not going to go anywhere. Well, it fell out of my back pocket. I saw it floating in the air away from me on the ride. I went down and tried to the person I was with, we tried to locate the phone, couldn't find it. She's such a good help, such a good woman. She went on her phone and find my iPhone, right? I forgot that even existed. Through about an hour or so of this, we found the phone, but it was in between rides in the gated area of gravel where you can't go. But my phone is, like you said, it says all my business on it, all my clients, all their session counts, etc. Like, and much, much more.
Right.
I can't leave the park without my phone or leave it up to the security to go find it and put it in lost and found and then send it to me. I can't. No. This is Sunday. I work Monday.
Yeah.
I can't have that. So I ended up hopping the fence, like trailing this like 12, 13 foot fence, like ninjaing over this shit, dude. And then get my phone, they stopped the ride. Like, there was this big thing. It wasn't big, but it was an issue. And I didn't mean for it to be an issue. I just want to get my phone. Like, I got to get my phone. Anyways, got kicked out of the park because of that. But it's
you got kicked out of the park?
Got kicked out of the park because you can't. I learned you can't do that. You can't.
Oh, they weren't helping you do this? You just went?
Just did it because they. Yeah, because if it was up to them.
Yeah.
They
probably got kicked out of the park.
They said, because it was a liability. Where I went in between the rides was a liability.
Well, it probably was.
Yeah, I didn't care. I had to get my phone. And once I knew it was right there and I saw it, I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm jumping this. This fence is holding me
to
between.
Get the biscuit.
I have to.
Did you get it?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, well, then there you go.
I got it, and but at the expense of getting kicked out. But it was okay because it was worth it to me. Like,
well, that's the thing. I mean, that's the point I'm making is the value that they have. I mean, it's already of value, monetarily speaking, but the value that it is scary to me. I hate that feeling. I hate being that tied to something. I really hate it.
A lot of people said the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm trying not to, especially as I'm kind of recreating myself here, I'm trying not to be as, because they've also gotten us, I think, into a cycle of it's the next level, the 5G, what are we on? 14, 15?
14.
iPhone? 16, get this. So we're already starting to, they bait us and into wanting the next and the fastest. And we're not wondering what we have to give up for that. Right. I feel like we're not stopping and asking ourselves, what am I giving up so that I can have all this to go this way and be this way? And because we just want it, because they've convinced us that's what we should want. But what I'm experiencing at my age at this point in my life is that if you can remove yourself from it to a certain degree, you're going to stay more in tune with who you are.
True.
And if you are, it is heartbreaking to me to the extent, and I'm guilty of it too, to the extent of which we are obsessed with these phones. And it takes the most discouraging thing I feel is that it takes away from who you are and how you would normally express yourself. You're conditioned to it. And it's going to continue to condition you, in my opinion. And you're going to just not be able to identify with what really does matter to me anymore. What am I really interested in anymore? Have I even looked at the ocean today? It's when's the last time you walked through the trees? When's the last time you enjoyed what God gave you to enjoy here? I don't know. I'm not anti-technology, which I probably have totally sounded like here today. But I am for relations. I am for taking care of each other. I am for being interested in people. I don't think we need to focus so much on the next best A, B, C, and D, the next best car, the next best game, the next, it's there. I read this a long time ago and it has always stuck with me. And it changed the kind of mother I was when I read this quote. And it was, there is nothing more important than the person in front of you. And I was like, because it's so hard as a mom when your kids are standing in front of you to focus on what they're saying, because you're just on to the next thing, especially if you have more than one. And even when you have one, you're ready for the next thing. So you're trying to listen to what they say, what they need, what do you need? I got to check out. Okay, baby, whatever. Okay, here you go. And then on to the next one, and then on to the next, and we're on to the game. And so when I read that, it allowed for me to finally just go, you know what? All those other things that I'm thinking about and trying to get to and do are not as important as even you in this moment, right? It's like, stay present. And it was very hard to do in today's society because of the way I feel they have us hooked. It's hard to get away from anything. It's hard to get away from every day nowadays. I think it's really hard. And I think our mental health is dependent on the ability to be still every once in a while. And I think that ability has almost been taken away from us because of the reason you just said. Like, you can't even function if you don't have it. That's sad. It's sad. It's true. And it's, we're all guilty of it, but it's like, whew.
Well, we tie so many things to the phone.
Right.
And, because it's so easy and it's because everything's consolidated to one little unit, it's the reason why we treat that thing like it's more precious than gold.
Right.
Because we have our whole life's work in there to some degree, or a lot of it at least. And that's the reason why I went and got mine. It was, if I had just had contacts in there, I don't care.
Right.
But I have business in there.
Yeah. No, everything. It is. It really is everything.
It's a big memory card.
Yeah.
And I need that memory card.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
it just makes us, it makes me think back to how we even could function without them, right? I mean, there was a time we did very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very well. And yet I can't even imagine how this would turn around to not need an iPhone.
Things were a lot slower back then. People got messages a lot slower.
Well, maybe we could stand to slow down a little bit.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
And that is I think that's also a frustrating, not frustrating. I think that has added to the level of stress we experience as a society too, is having, you are accessible. There are no reasons why you can't not be available. So you never have time to decompress, because now, especially after COVID and the way it changed how we work from home, there's no separation anymore of anything. It's just all constantly going. Mm-hmm. And to unplug is so hard for all of us. It's so hard, but so, in my experience, and I'm guilty of not doing this, which is why I feel like I can speak to it, is I never did take time. I never did unplug. I never did take a break. I never did meditate. I never did relax. I never did take a deep breath and just be. And so if you can unplug from that, I just feel like it allows for you to, it allowed for me to tap in to different, I don't want to say coping, but different perspective. It changes your perspective. And for me, in a good way. The less I'm on that, the less I'm looking at it, the less I'm scrolling, the less I'm posting. It's just a different perspective. It's calmer to me.
Yeah.
It's calmer.
I don't really find any merit in social media as well. If it weren't for my podcast, I wouldn't be on social media. I really only post podcasts on social media because it's the only thing I care about. Mm-hmm. It's the only thing I care about in terms of getting it out to other people. Mm-hmm. But if it weren't for that, I could easily give up my Instagram. But you talk to a lot of people. In fact, this is a common dating question for men that date women with thirst like Instagram pages. Would you give up your Instagram for me? If I was going to be the man that would provide, protect, give you security, all these things that men are supposed to do for women.
Men are asking this question.
Yeah, they do. And the women astoundingly say no. Because that to them is more important. For some reason, it's more important to be on Instagram promulgating yourself in a way that does serve you or not. Does that serve you as the woman? So
are we talking about giving up the Instagram because it's portraying the woman as single and sexy?
Right.
Well, so they're not going to change those type of photos is what I'm getting from you. You've experienced women who are going to still post those types of photos on their Instagram, even when they decide to be in a relationship.
I'll go further than this. They won't give up their OnlyFans account.
OnlyFans is what that's like.
OnlyFans is
like escort.
Basically sexual. Oftentimes it's sexual content. It's not always sexual content. Like some people do OnlyFans, they do cooking on OnlyFans, they do shopping on OnlyFans, but more often than not, it's sexually derived content.
And so these women have those accounts and won't give them up.
But
the guy who now is saying I want to be with you.
But like I want to wed you, like I want to marry you, I want you to be my wife, and they're like they have to think about it, and sometimes they just say no, I can't do it. Like why would you make me do that? They still want to. It's like they still want to have their cake and eat it too.
Now, would it be for the intent of still meeting people?
No, this is like if they have an actual prospect in line, an actual man that wants to.
No, but I'm saying like so it would be like you come to me and you say, hey, can you take? I want to be serious with you. Can you stop using these accounts? And the girl is saying,
you know that I can provide the lifestyle that you want. That's
a whole other. I mean, just that a guy would say, I want to be with you. Like, let's be committed. Give up the, what's it called? Fans only?
Like OnlyFans?
OnlyFans account. And they say no. They say no. These girls say no.
Yeah. Most of them say no.
Because they don't want to be with that guy or?
No. It's because, well, I can't answer that. I can't answer why they don't do it when they have a perfectly acceptable male specimen that could take care of them, that wants to give them everything that they ever wanted in a man. They don't want to absolve themselves of the OnlyFans or the Instagram. They want to continue to post those things about themselves or those types of pictures. So I can't answer that from the woman's side because I'm not a woman. I don't know how they operate, but that's
I'm sorry. You just sounded like, I don't know how a woman operates.
Well, I don't. I can tell you what a woman wants, but I can't tell you.
But
I can tell you what a woman
tell me
wants.
what a woman wants.
Well,
what does a woman want?
wants in a man, it's very simple.
Oh, it is.
So
okay, good.
what a woman wants in a man is typical security, provision, protection. They want refuge. So a man, they look to a man to provide all of those characteristics, or all of those those elements rather. So it's easy. I have to make myself into something that's going to be of utility to a woman if that's what I want in my life as a woman. I have to be that man that can provide those things. I can't be a fat slob living in my parents' basement eating Cheetos, playing video games, and expect to get a dime piece woman. Mm-hmm. So I have to make myself into somebody, which is the reason why I don't give slack to men when it comes to creating themselves. Mm-hmm. They should develop all those characteristics in tandem to be of the best utility to a woman. Mm-hmm. Because it is about taking care of your woman. Mm-hmm. Period. Mm-hmm. So yes, I do know what a woman wants, but I do not know how they operate. That is something.
Well, I will tell you this. Do you know what I want, Justin, from a man?
Sure. What?
Which is one thing you didn't say, and it's the most important to me.
Okay.
Is love.
Okay.
Love. That's how simple it is. Love.
Okay.
Love. Now,
if I do get love, how is your love expressed?
Now, if I do get, how do I want to receive love? Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we can go into a lot of very specific ways in how I would want to receive love, but I think that dating someone, that's what it is about, is figuring out how you, because do I have certain things I want as a woman to feel loved? Yes. But if there's a man I meet that I'm interested in that does A, B, C, and D, and that makes me feel loved by him, those may be very different things than A, B, C, D that you do that make me feel loved. So when you're dating, to me, that's when I'm experiencing what I feel love from you and how you love, right? So I can tell you what I like or what makes me feel loved for sure. I feel like that's dating, but it's also going to be dependent on the type of man that I am interacting with. Does that make sense?
So you said you didn't say love, but
I did say love.
No, you said that I didn't say
right.
You wanted love, but everything that I told you was under the umbrella of how a man shows his love for a woman, because it takes a lot for a man to create himself. He's not just going to give that willy-nilly to any woman. That is how he expresses his love for his woman.
Which is, you said, providing,
protecting, giving them security and refuge. And I would beg you to add to that list affection. But listen.
Listen.
No.
Affection. A woman. I'm a woman.
I'm telling you what a woman likes. I'm telling you what a man. I'm telling you what a man wants.
He's telling me.
What a man.
You're telling me what a man wants now.
No. I'm sorry. I'm telling you how a man offers his love. That is how a man offers his love. He doesn't offer it in the same way women offer their love.
Do you think all men offer their love like that? Or just this is how you would offer your love?
This is like the majority of men. I can't speak
for
men all men.
Offer
but
their love.
We're talking about the major populace of men. So this is something that's very kind of it's very commensurate with most men, that this is the way that they express their love for a woman. Mm-hmm. This is what they give them. Men and women are different. They do not express love the same way. We can agree to that. So the way that I express my love to you is in that format. The way you express your love to me is by being loyal, faithful, nurturing, caring, etc. to me, to our household, to our family, to our children. Mm-hmm. So we're different in that regard. Mm-hmm. We don't offer the same type of extensions that provide a sense of belonging to one another. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's it.
I do think there is definite value a man brings and a woman brings into a relationship, for sure. But I don't agree with you in regards to this kind of almost cookie cutter idea of how a man should show love. Because again, I think it's specific to the woman and her needs, because my needs are very different than my sister's or whoever, the woman next to me. They're different. And, I've been married twice and dated, and I've had very different relationships with those men. And they fed me, quote unquote, very differently. Some are better at it than others. But I think you can't just say this is how I portray my love, because also as a relationship evolves, and I was married 2 years the first time and then 10 years the second time, things change. The needs change. My needs changed very much from baby number one, till the fourth kid. Like, it just, with the phases of life, my needs have changed from when I was 25 to 45-year-old woman. Like, that's just reality. So it's not that easy. It's staying in touch. It's staying in tune. It's identifying with where she's at and what she needs. And, women are complicated. I think we're a little bit more complicated. Men tend to be more simple-minded. It's very A, B, C, D, black or white. I don't understand. This is very logical. Why can't you understand it? And women are more like, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm like kind of thinking about Susie and what she told me the other day. And then when I get here, I just want to cook. And, the kids are doing this. I mean, we're just all over the place constantly. And we don't really compartmentalize very well. So it's like we have such different needs and fulfill those needs so differently. It's no wonder. What's the divorce rate nowadays? 80%.
Yeah. And you know who initiates those divorces?
Who?
Women.
Yeah.
Women are 80% of the initiators.
Well, maybe it's because they're not getting love.
Or see, the thing is that a lot of times, well, women divorce on basically finances. That's the biggest thing, is finances.
What do you mean?
There's not enough finances, or they have
you mean
arguments over finances.
The majority of divorces are because women want more money? Is that what you're saying?
No.
What are you saying?
Finances in general. So financial problems in the relationship.
Oh, that's the number one reason nowadays?
Last time I checked, yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it might have changed, but
I don't know that statistic.
But with when I impart to you what men want, it's because I understand this. Mm-hmm. You're imparting me what women want. It's because you understand that. But I would also say that I'm the general male populace. You're not the general woman populace. You're a little different in regard. What we talked about in the very beginning of the podcast. I said, you're not the typical woman. And I meant that, but for many different reasons. You don't typically section of the market. When I market, I mean like the population of women.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so maybe perhaps what you like or what you admire in a man, or what you need to be fulfilled from in a man, is because you have some masculine components. Mm-hmm. You're looking for some feminine components in a man to mesh that yin and yang together well. Mm-hmm. Whereas a typical effeminate woman mm-hmm. and a masculine man are going to collide and gel well with the principles that I laid out and that you laid out, without the middleman, or without that little, I don't know.
Well, but that's kind of speaking to my point, which is it's specific. Like you're saying, like your way of loving a woman probably wouldn't work for me. We probably wouldn't date well. You would find out. we might both be a little bit bullheaded,
really?
Just a little bit.
No.
But I mean, honestly, that you can't think that you can think, obviously, but I will tell you this. It is very different. You just said it. You have a way of loving a woman that will work for the specific type of woman you want, right? I mean, most women. It will work for most women.
And the reason why I say that with confidence is because the exception doesn't make the rule, Shelby. You can be the one-off, the anomaly. That doesn't make the rule.
No, and I'm not trying to make a rule.
I know you're not, but I'm just saying in general.
I feel like you're trying to make a rule.
No,
like here are the 4
saying
things that it takes to love a woman. Or
it's basically 3 things. It's protection, provision, and security. I mean, that's it. We can narrow it down to that.
But it has to be more than that. If it wasn't, then
there are a lot of
then I could pick from.
You can't, because it takes a lot to develop that as a man.
Yeah, but even still, If it was just that, I'd date you, right?
No,
like,
it's not just that, because there are
I would date you.
Well, now there are mental components to it. Do I get along with this person? Do I like the way he dresses?
That's
Do
what
I
I'm
like
saying,
his
though.
shoes?
But that's the point I'm making, is there's another layer of love.
That's not love. That's attraction. What I provide to you in terms of what my masculine,
that's love.
what my obligations are as a man to create, what they do for you as a woman is compliment you. What you provide to the table or bring to the table for me, compliment me as a man. Mm-hmm. That's most men and women. It's not, well, I have to go now and there are sub components for sure. Like the way he dresses, the way he speaks. Do I like the way he looks? Do I like his teeth, his smile, etc.? All these things matter. I'm talking about the major components.
Well, but I also value, like, for me, honestly, if I was to say, like, my boys have asked me before. You know, I have three boys, 9, 7, and 5, and a daughter who's 4. And they have asked me, you know, what I like, what would I like in a guy? You know, what do I like? It used to be, you know, what do you like about daddy? And I'm like, if a guy can't make me laugh, man, I just can't. And he could provide, and he could, you know, all these things. And it's like, if he can't love me, or love, there we go. If you can't make me laugh, to me, that's like critical for my like survival. It's how I want to be loved. And if he's not funny, like for me, I'm going to be like, oh, you know, it's deflating for me. Yeah. It doesn't fill my soul. And maybe that's not important to, you know, Sarah over here. Who, you know, so that's when I was like, love. We all want love. How I want love is different than Sarah. So I think fundamentally, yes, there are a list of things that I want and traits that I want and a place maybe that I want a man to be. But I've also learned that even if you have all of that, doesn't mean, you know, it's going to work or stick or whatever, because you can still do all those things that you said. But if there's other things falling apart, it doesn't make it doesn't work. It doesn't, you know, there's, So anyway, I just, and I also think
we're not off here on the.
We're not.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
You're just, you may have seen it you may have interpreted it frame wise differently than I was conveying it, but we're not off here. Like there are massive subcomponents. Like I could. Okay, let me. In contrast, I can meet a woman that's very nurturing, that's very caring, that's very submissive, that's very cooperative, that wants to grow, let's say, my business with me, work with me in my business, etc. But I'm just not attracted to her physically.
Right.
It's a no-go, right? It's just, or she doesn't have a good personality. And I'm like, nah. Mm-hmm. Like all those things matter to me as you, the woman, but then these sub components matter too.
Sure.
Right. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
It's tough to find a person. It's really tough to find a person.
It is, because there's so many components to it. There really is. And then, you know, the older you get and, you know, the more stuff you have behind, or what do they call it? It's like
baggage.
I wasn't going to call it that, but I guess I kind of have to now. But yeah.
The baggage component.
There's an expression I was going to use, baggage. Yeah. Yeah. You know, you have baggage, and then it's like, I don't want to deal with her baggage, and I don't want to deal with his baggage.
Right.
And we all have baggage. So it's like, you know, whose baggage do you want to pack in
Some
your
have
own?
just a duffel bag. Some have a carry-on, 5 suitcases.
Some are driving their own bus.
Some are driving their own bus. Oh shit, dude!
That's a bus girl. You don't want to talk to her.
That's
She's a bus. She's
got a whole school bus, man. That's crazy. I've never even heard of that. That's funny.
I just made that up. Because it's true. I mean, the older you get, you know, I'm 45. I mean, it's like, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I got. This is what I bring to the table.
Yeah. Well, so how has it been? I think you kind of, in a way, roundabout way, answered this already. But is it tough in the market now, trying to find somebody?
Yeah, and I'm not really there yet. You know, I'm just kind of just getting to the point where I'm seeing how things go, and yeah, to me, I don't know. It just, I don't know. Yeah.
To be continued.
To be continued. Yeah, because there's not a whole lot to talk about right now. It just, to me, it's just that yeah, we all have our stuff, and yeah, I don't know. We'll talk more about that another time.
I love it. Well, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's wrap it up. I gotta go to the bathroom. Bad. But well, I would ask you, tell people where they can find you, but you're not really one for social media, so maybe.
No, I
Let's plug it. Let's
I might
plug
have
it
on
anyway.
it. Yes.
Plug it anyway.
Well, at Tactical Armor Fitness is my fitness. Find me at your gym, obviously, on the website.
FitnessExtraordinaire.com.
FitnessExtraordinaire.com.
Yep.
That's
You're the
where
poster child. You're the poster child for
I
that.
am the poster child. Thank you. I'm honored. I am quite honored. And then I'm going to start doing so when I was in the military, during basic training, we did a thing called assault course.
Yeah.
And it was like exactly what you're envisioning. It was like low crawling on the ground with M16 and under barbed wire, and like we're climbing over walls and rope slings and all that stuff. So I'm going to come up with like the tactical armor assault course at the beach in the mornings. So I'm recruiting for that, and Monday, Wednesdays in the mornings. So get on my page if you want to come to that and check it out. It's going to be pretty gnarly, not like I'm trying. I mean, it's going to be fun. Not anybody could do it. Don't think you have to low crawl.
Don't be
under
intimidated.
barbed wire. Yeah.
Don't be intimidated,
Don't
people.
be intimidated. It's fun. Music.
I love it.
No, it's something to look forward to. It's a reason to get out of bed in the morning.
There you go.
Yeah. Let me be your reason to get out of bed in the morning.
There you go. I love it. Well, we'll do this again.
Okay. Awesome.
Until next time.
All right. Thanks, Justin.
Done.
Bye.